This is episode number 35 of the Emotional Freedom Podcast. Now, are you a user of social media? Maybe Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or LinkedIn, etc. And do you sometimes feel as if these social media platforms, they just zap away the energy and the life out of you? Instead of going in to find connection, going in to find like social, being sociable or finding friends, etc., you found yourself being reminded of things that you are lacking in, or you find yourself being constantly reminded that you are not as good as those people who are turning into social media influencers. And if that has ever happened to you, I call that as the social media trap. And in this episode, we want to explore what is this social media trap, the harms of this social media trap, and also what are the things that you need to watch out for when you use social media. Stay tuned. Hi, welcome back to the Emotional Freedom Podcast. I'm Luke Bong, your host. I'm also the first accredited NLP trainer in East Malaysia, and I am a clinical hypnotherapist. I remember when I first discovered Facebook for the very first time, it was actually a recommendation by a long-lost friend who happened to email me one day and says, would you like to get in touch with all the old friends because there is this amazing website where you can reconnect with people. Now, up till then, I have never ever used any social media and I have no idea what the social media was. But the moment I log in and then I just key in some of the names of my ex-classmates whom I have not met for close to over 10 years, most of them. And then I discovered that, hey, they were also on this website. It's amazing. I'm now reconnecting with people whom I have not met for so long, and it is none other than Facebook. Of course, everyone knows about Facebook now, how powerful it is, how great it is. And it was before long that I began to realize that instead of like connecting with friends on Facebook, basically what happens then is we just add each other. Sometimes we stalk on each other. We see what each other is doing. But beyond that, it seems as if it wasn't serving the purpose of connecting and with each other and so on. So this is an example of a social media trap. Now, to me, a social media trap would be when you go in and you start to use those social media platforms. Doesn't matter which one you're using. It could be IG, it could be Twitter, it could be Snapchat, it could be Facebook. It could be anything. As long as it is considered a social media, there are a lot of things that we have to be careful about so that we don't become a victim of this social media. I don't know about you, but do you notice that the more you browse through the pictures that people share, be it their wonderful life partner, or be it the holiday that they go to, or be it the food that they eat, or the wonderful dinner that they are having, or basically just something nice there. Do you sometimes find yourself like going through it, and the more you go through it, at first it could be like, oh wow, I'm so happy for that person. And then slowly, it becomes like a stark reminder that how come I don't have all the nice things that everyone else has? And that is one of the biggest cause for depression in the modern era. Now, you may think like, this is just a small matter. Come on, toughen up and things like that. But the thing is, if a person is experiencing those emotions, and if those emotions are eating them up, it's a real thing. It's not to be brushed off lightly. And such is the danger of the social media. Now, one of the things that we need to be aware of when we are using social media is that people don't tell all the truth on social media. Meaning to say, for every wonderful thing that has been posted there could be backstories that this person doesn't share. And it becomes an issue because I think a lot of people who use social media, it almost turned into a race, whereby everyone is trying to outdo the other person in terms of how majestic or how wonderful my life is. And everyone is trying to top each other, and everyone is trying to just make it nice, make it nicer than the other person's. And before long, before you realize it, it actually becomes a competition to see how many likes that you have. I have actually come across people when they post something, straight away they'll be there to check it every hour just to see how many likes, how many shares, and all that. And to tell you the truth, I also fell into that trap as well, whereby as I post something, and I became very conscious as to how many people like it and how many people posted it, commented. It becomes as if I was looking for people's acknowledgement, acceptance. And if you recall in previous yesterday's episode on the inner child, on working with the inner child, the short series that I did. Now, if you are new to this episode, you can watch episode number, let me check, 31 to 34, where I talk about the inner child. And it really talks about this, where a child craves for the recognition from an adult. And as an adult ourselves and users of the social media, rationally, we shouldn't be craving for anyone's recognition for the things we do. So what if I make a pie that doesn't look like a pie? It looks like a soup instead. I made it, and it's edible. Nobody dies from eating it, and that's fine. So why should I want to get somebody else's recognition and says, wow, that looks nice, and then I feel good about it? Although it sounds so silly doing that or thinking about it that way, that's the reality for millions and millions of social media users today. So that is why the purpose of today's episode is I want to, maybe quote unquote challenge you to think about how you use social media. Now, social media is a platform, it's a tool. And as any tool, it can be used positively, it can also be misused. And when it's misused, it's abused, and that's when problems arises. So what are some of the most common ways of how social media has been abused? Number one, it becomes a platform for people to show off, as well as to tell the world why they live a really wonderful life that the rest of the world should be envious of. Now, I think that is an issue because very often the life that is portrayed on social media is actually very far from reality. I give you one example, not so long ago, my wife and I, we met an old friend of ours whom we have not met for a long, long time. But we have been following this person on social media because this person continuously does live shows and all that. And when you do a live show, you'll be notified who so-and-so is doing a live. So we watch the person doing live. And my wife and I, we were like, wow, this person doesn't look like she has aged. Wow, amazing. How did she do that? So one fine day, my wife and I, we were having breakfast, and suddenly this person came out and says, hi, it's good to see you again. So we chit-chat and things like that. And after the person left, my wife just looked at me and said, you know what? This is the reason why we should not believe everything we see on social media. Because the person looked totally different in real life than on Facebook Live. So you see, whenever we use Facebook Live or you use social media, just be at the back of your mind, just realize that not everything that you see is the truth. Okay, and that solves a lot of problem by itself. Now, the second way of how people actually misuse the social media is that they try to use it to find acceptance for who they are. They try to find, no judgment and things like that. But I think social media is probably the worst place on earth to do that, to be non-judgmental. Now, whenever you go on and read the comment sections on videos or pictures and things like that, beyond those that are genuinely, or I can't even say genuinely because I don't know the motives behind it. But beyond those comments that sounded nice, sounded supportive, you will find that there are a lot of comments. It's as if this person has been, permanently hurt by the world. So there's so much of anger and frustration inside that this person can only be cynical and sarcastic in their remarks. And tell me, is social media, when used that way, is it a place where there's no judgment? Or is that a place where full of judgment? So that's the second danger of social media, whereby it becomes so easy for people to judge you without knowing you. And although sometimes people may have said that, what did they say? They say words do not break the bone, sticks and stones do, but words do not. But how many of you know that that's not true? You realize that words can be stinging, words can be toxic, and words can be like a sharp knife that can hurt a person's soul. So that's the second thing of the danger of the social media. Now, and the third danger of social media is it's so easy to lose the purpose of who you are or the reality of the person that you are. Often when we use a camera or video to shoot certain things, to shoot certain angles, and to appear a certain way in a photo, the person who does it on purpose for the social media, the big question mark is that really you? And what's the purpose of you doing that, shooting that? Now, I'm not trying to be judgmental here, because if, let's say, you are doing it because you want to get affirmation from people who follow you or go to your social media and all that, it becomes a very, like walking on thin ice, because after a while, all it takes here is for people to unlike, or for people to dislike, or people to give a thumbs down, or for people to show an angry emoji. All it takes is just for that, just like that. We have heard of lots of stories whereby Instagram influencers or Facebook influencers, they screw up a little bit and straight away the tide turn on them. And that can be a really devastating thing to a person's emotions. So these are some of the most common traps that people experience when they are using social media. So just be careful, of that. And I would encourage you to do this, occasionally. And that is, some people, they do health detox here, whereby they don't eat certain type of food for a period of time. I think it would also be wise and good to have a social media detox, whereby you just put a notification there and says, I'm off social media for the next 7 days, and to refrain yourself from using it for 7 days. Okay? I'm sure that the first few days will feel very uneasy, feel very uncomfortable, but when you stay on and, stay disciplined to do that for that 7 days, oh wow, you're going to come out like really detox. You are going to detox yourself from the toxic and the junk that is so easily available on social media today. So I wish you all the safe, have a safe social media journey. Enjoy yourself in social media, but enjoy it responsibly and enjoy it safely. So have a good day ahead. I'll see you tomorrow.